I shall review this movie with great enthusiasm, that I will. Rurouni Kenshin, the live-action movie. Now, for those of you who might not know this by now, I'll just get this out of the way. I absolutely love Rurouni Kenshin, the series. It is one of my all-time favorite anime shows I have ever seen. It's probably the best samurai anime I've ever seen. I just absolutely love the dynamics between Kenshin, Kaoru, all the characters in the show. Seasons 1 and 2 are absolutely fantastic to me. Season 3, not so much. So when I heard that one of my friends told me that there was a live-action movie rendition of Rurouni Kenshin, I was a little bit skeptical because, let's face it folks, when it comes to the live-action renditions of certain shows that we love, we haven't exactly been on the, I don't know, well-treated streak. I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking this off the top of my head, just the idea that we've had especially two particular renditions, one of which actually butchered a franchise to the point the director is now a punchline, and the other one that's so enraging to any fan on any level whatsoever that I pretty much just want to burn every copy of it that I see. And so, with this one in particular, with a franchise I love as much as Rurouni Kenshin, I was worried that it was going to suck. However, just to get this out of the way right now, this is the absolute polar opposite as you could possibly get for a rendition of this material. I'm serious, folks. Rurouni Kenshin, the movie, is absolutely perfect in terms of adapting the source material, staying true to the source material, and being compact as a movie by itself as it could possibly get for this type of format. But let me go ahead and get into the details as to why I say this. Now, the story of Rurouni Kenshin follows a wandering samurai by the name of Kenshin Himura, who you learn early on is known as the legendary manslayer known as Himura Batosai. And he is known as this legendary killer. Like, this guy is practically invincible on the battlefield. But during the course of the time of the Meiji era, as it's on the rise, he fights for a new age, and he decides to take on the vow of never to kill again. He abandons his ways of killing, he wants to start a new life, and he becomes a wandering samurai. Fast forward a couple of years later, he is now a wandering samurai. He's no longer taking on the role of killing anybody, and he's decided to live a quiet and peaceful life. There he comes across Kaoru Kamiya of the Kamiya Kashin Dojo and tries to make himself a peaceful life as he doesn't want to kill anymore. During the course of all of this going on, there's a local landlord by the name of Konryu Takeda who is now selling an opium underground trade with the help of one of the other main characters from the show, Miss Megumi, who is now trying to sell this opium illegally through the trade and try to basically become the big drug crime lord of the land. Where do I even begin with my praise for this movie? Oh, that's right, let's go ahead and start with the rendition itself. Now, when it comes to adapting a source material that's already loved, like from a manga to a show and then to a movie, your first job at the beginning is to make a good movie. You don't need to condense everything into 1 2-hour format. We've already seen what happens when something like that is treated poorly. Your second job is to maintain respect of the source material, in which a certain other movie that I mentioned previously, and I will not say by name because every time I think about that movie it makes me angry, and I'm thinking about Kenshin now, so I'm going to get back to that. And that's what this movie does. It takes everything important about that happened in Season 1, it brings it into its own story and tries to reinterpret it in its own way. And it all works. That's the key thing. It all works. Everything fits together. One of the things that makes it all fit together is the fact that the characters are all from the show. All the important characters are all in this movie. And they're not all modern reinterpretations of the characters. No, when you see Kenshin, you see Kenshin. When you see Yahiko, Kaoru, Megumi, Sanosuke, Saito, all these characters that you recognize from the show and may love, that they're all in this movie and they're all maintained with respect and dignity and consistency to what the source material has. Kenshin is still the lovable bumbling idiot who has over-exaggerated falls and flops, and he's still lovable. But once he becomes the badass, he can do it on the span of a snap of a finger, and he is a total ass-kicking machine. And every time I see that in the show or in this movie, It is a seamless transition. It is perfectly preserved. Everyone acting in this movie is flawless. Another thing I absolutely adore about this movie is its choreography, its stunt work, and wire work, or I should say lack thereof. I'm serious, folks. There was not a single stunt in this movie that I felt was too over-exaggerated for the source material given to them, and it fit perfectly, and there were certain moments I could not tell at all that any of it was cheesy, less than real, and it was all handled so well. There were certain stunts that made me lose my jaw, hit the floor, and I could not believe what I was seeing. The battle scenes were excellently done. Every bit of the choreography was excellent. Every time the battle would commence, I was so enthralled, so engaged in what was going on. I could not help but just be washed in a glow on my face. You should have seen the grin I had from ear to ear from every time a battle took place. Not only that, but each fight consisting of other characters, main characters in the show, are consistent with their fighting style and their personality. For example, Kenshin is a very graceful fighter. He doesn't take a lot of brute force, and he's very fluid with his motions, whereas Sanosuke is a lot more hard-hitting and brutal. He's a street fighter by nature, and you see that in the course of the movements and in the fights. And even so, with that, there's even some moments in the film where it actually manages to be funny. That's one of the other things that Kenshin that manages to do, is that the show was actually really funny at certain points, and it also maintains that sense of humor with some of the fight scenes in this movie, and I absolutely love that aspect too. And accompanying those fight scenes and all that choreography withstanding is the score. Holy crap, this battle theme kicked absolute ass. I mean, yes, this theme is not exactly Heart of the Sword level, but my lord, is this theme badass on every single level. Not only that, but they even added stuff into the storyline that wasn't originally from the show or the manga, as much as I think, according to my memory. Even that was not inconsistent with the tone. It all worked for this movie. Everything fit perfectly into this one movie. Everything that was needed for a Rurouni Kenshin movie to work, they got it, and they hit it nail on the head. One of the things I love the most about Rurouni Kenshin itself is the dynamic between Kenshin and Kaoru. I absolutely loved the romance and the connection that these two characters had in the show, and I was worried that this wasn't going to be a key aspect during the course of the movie. But again, just like everything else in this movie, it put my doubts to rest. It was perfectly preserved for this movie, and in fact, if you notice one particular scene at the very end, that was like the perfect homage to season 2. I nearly wanted to cry. I nearly wanted to jump out of my seat going, yes! And I probably did, if my memory is correct. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw it for the first time, but every time I watch this movie, I am absolutely enthralled. I love watching it. I absolutely adore this movie. I absolutely want there to be a sequel. I can't praise it enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way with an amazing story, perfectly preserved characters, well done action, minimalistic wire work, an enthralling score, a story that is so interesting and introspective, and the fact that you respect Kenshin for the fact that he doesn't want to kill. He is so committed to this idea. He's internally keeping himself in check, but the fact is that they managed to maintain so many things that were pinnacle to season 1 of Kenshin into this 2-hour format. I could go on praising this movie for another hour and a half if I want to, but for the sake of this review, I'm going to condense it down to here. So I'm going to say right now that Rurouni Kenshin is absolutely worth every penny. So there you go, everybody. That's my review of Rurouni Kenshin, the movie. I hope you enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'm Perry the One-Armed Legend. You name it, I can play it.